Welcome to the Power of Design podcast, where we have inspiring conversations that explore the intersection of architecture, construction, and real estate, so we can understand the dynamics and trends that shape an exciting and powerful built environment. This is your host, Jack Ossa. Today, in the Power of Design, we have a special episode where I was interviewed as the winner of the 2020 business plan competition created by Charrette Venture Group. Last year, at the end of 2019, I decided to participate in a business plan competition for architecture firms. Even though I have always been working on my business model, never had the chance to give myself a deadline and a simple framework to work on my plans. And now this was the perfect opportunity to focus on the big picture of running a business and get real feedback from experts in the field that could validate my ideas. This business plan competition for architecture firms happens every year and is put together by an innovative and unique consulting firm focused in the architecture field. CVG stands for Charrette Venture Group. They are a team of business experts on call for small to mid-size architecture firms. They offer an interesting combination of services that include finances, marketing, operations, management, leadership, and so much more. Pretty much all the help you need to grow an architecture firm that is not design. This year, Ossa Studio won first place, and I'm very happy about this accomplishment for one main reason: confidence. Starting and running a small business is a very lonely journey. I don't have any partners to bounce ideas with, and many times I find myself doubting whether my ideas, strategies, and plans make sense in the real world or not. The greatest asset of an entrepreneur is his confidence. And anything that increases my level of confidence is going to give me the courage to pursue a bigger and better future for my business and my family. Winning the business plan competition is a huge confidence booster for me. It makes me feel good that I'm not crazy for spending hundreds of hours designing a business model with the same intensity I have when I'm designing a building. I'm very thankful for this opportunity, and now, more than ever, convinced that the power of design is real and works on not only in what we can see, but also in what we don't. I'm energized, engaged, and committed to continue building a global, multidisciplinary design firm that creates impactful experiences through the power of design. Listen to my conversation with Emily Hall from CVG, where we discuss my approach and details of the competition process. If you want to know more of what I presented, please contact me and I'll be glad to share what I have. I think it's a very simple framework that I developed and it can be applied to any business. Take a listen.
I'm Emily Hall. I'm the VP of Marketing with Charrette Venture Group, and I'm here with Jack Ossa from Ossa Studio in Charlotte, North Carolina. And Jack's firm has just won the 2020 Architecture Business Plan Competition. And let's just talk a little bit more about your firm and your business plan. So thank you for agreeing to join us. And let's start by just telling us about your firm.
Thank you, Emily. Well, our firm is called Ossa Studio. I started Ossa Studio about 3 years ago. And the main services we provide are architecture, mainly commercial, brand design, and also brand consulting. And I can elaborate a little bit more about what we do in each of those areas. A little bit about my history. I'm a first-generation immigrant. If you haven't noticed, I have an accent. So I'm originally from Colombia, South America, not South Carolina. And I migrated to the United States years ago. I went to architecture school in Colombia. I was being very passionate about design and architecture and always having that dream of having my own firm one day. So I worked for different firms throughout the years, kind of getting an understanding of design, construction, going to the traditional path to become a licensed architect here. Eventually, I became a licensed architect. And at my last job, I used to work at a large global architecture firm and got to the point in my life when I had to really decide if I was going to continue working for somebody else and retire, or if I was going to pursue my dream. So it was a really interesting time. Talk to my wife, talk about many things, and pull the plug. And in January 2017, I left that job I had and started my own firm. At the beginning, I started calling people that I used to work with, see how I can pick up some projects here and there, and started gaining traction pretty soon. Most of the projects that I've been working on in the commercial architecture world are commercial office buildings, a lot of interior outfits, adaptive reuse projects. And within that world, I realized how my passion for graphics, branding, design started to show up in the marketplace as I started having conversations with contractors, clients, and developers. I have always been very interested in graphics, communication, web design, and they started asking me about services related to branding in the construction industry. I started developing logos, business cards, some graphic pieces here and there. And as I started doing that, I realized that huge amount of value I was bringing to the clients, because as an architect, I'm in it with them in the day-to-day operations and delivering of projects. So I was really helping them because I understood their target client. So that quickly became another part of the business where, we're not only selling brand design, but we also sell brand consulting. And we develop a process called the Brand DNA, which is a 3-week workshop when we help businesses within the design and construction industry understand what's the clear differentiator you bring to the marketplace, and then how does your marketing material reflects that, and how you're impacting your target client to achieve the results you want. So that's been very helpful and interesting, because it's not only another source of revenue, but we also can engage clients at a different level and eventually evolve to sell other types of services. Interesting enough, some of our clients are also architecture firms, design firms. So we start to help expanding our network and our relationships within the industry. And the team currently is comprised of 3 team members, myself, and I have 2 other team members that live in Colombia, and we work remotely. And we also have contractors, local contractors that are people that I know that I have developed relationship with, that I can choose per project. And we just do 1 or 2 projects at a time, and we cannot continue working that way. Great. But most of the work is remote.
Okay. So what do you see as your key differentiator?
I think we have 3 things that when they combine, they make us very unique. One, it's the business mindset. And I think that's because of the branding, understanding how architecture design is a vehicle to help our clients achieve their goals. So always looking at the value that design is bringing to their projects, and how am I supporting those goals with what we're doing, starting from the process, understanding budgets, understanding goals, and helping our clients get there as soon as they can. The other component will be the multicultural, bilingual diversity aspect. Just being a first generation immigrant, that's a very important topic for me. I have been given a lot of opportunities here. I'm a US citizen now, and now I want to do this for others. And I see how having very different points of view and different backgrounds, it really helps the design process, because you get other perspectives that make that process more rich. And the third aspect will be the technology. We are very heavy with BIM. We use BIM since very early stages of the design, use virtual reality. We have 3D printers. Or our presentations, we create specific websites to do presentations. So we really try to leverage all these technologies to bring a unique experience to our clients. So I would think that those 3 things are very unique to us. And also we think about our company not only in terms of the business of design, but also the design of business. Since the very beginning, every year I develop a document that I call the operating systems. of the business. So every year I can update the system. So like today, the operating system is comprised of 3 different areas. The number one is called client relationships, and that's where we focus on sales, branding, and marketing. And eventually, that component is going to grow up with its own team and its own systems and processes. The other part of that system is the operations, which is all about simplifying and streamlining resources. And that includes people, technology, and the environment we work on. Mm-hmm. And the third part will be the finances, where the goal is to control money and increase profit as we, make decisions along the years. And then overall, all that is tied by design thinking for the built environment. I feel that's the real value we're bringing to the marketplace and to society, that we're opening ourselves with our design skills and understanding of design thinking to solve other problems for our clients.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's clear you're a planner, and that definitely came through in your business plan, that you think about multiple facets of a business and how they are interrelated. And I should state that you had very aggressive growth goals. In 2019, you did 300,000 in revenue, and your plan by 2025 is to do 5 million in revenue. So let's start by talking about your vision for the future. What does Ossa Studio look like what's the evolution of it over the next 5 years?
So the overall goal, I see Ossa Studio as a multidisciplinary design firm that is global, doing work along, multiple markets, multiple countries. And I see the firm being recognized as a very solid business enterprise by the way the business is designed, also delivering very high design solution for our clients, and also a place where people want to work at. I say that if you work at Ossa Studio, your number one job is to become a better version of yourself. So I'm very passionate about creating an environment that is always helping people be better every single day. And the better human being you are, the better architect, the better designer you will be, because you're not only being fulfilled, but you're also making progress in your life. Mm-hmm. The plan for the future, I see it growing based on our clients. Thinking about that branded mindset, I say, look at what's the need in society, in the marketplace, and where can we fill that void. So today we are based on 3 different places. So in the architecture world, we do work for government agencies with our local city and county. Mm-hmm. So the government practice area is one of the areas we've been growing and slowly gaining traction. Mm-hmm. And the other one will be private work, which, they're different markets and they behave differently, but they're also very complementary as far as the way you deliver projects. So in the and the third one will be the brand design consulting area, which is very important because we're realizing we're filling a void, especially in the construction industry that hasn't been very refined or sophisticated in terms of messaging. There is a lot of work to do in that area, bringing the understanding from the architectural perspective. So in the private work, we focus on commercial office buildings, workplace, getting into how do we work, what are the best places for people to work, what's the workplace of the future, and adaptive reuse, which is also very important for us, is how do we reuse buildings in a very interesting way that we can repurpose that and being very sustainable because you're not building again. And we're slowly gaining traction with those 2 areas. So I can see the projection of how we're gaining the trust of the clients, and little by little, the projects start getting a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger because they see what we can do in those areas. So I'm very excited about the future because we see that we have something unique. It's now a matter of gaining the trust and continuing communicating what the differentiator is. And to me, it's more about helping people understand what's the strategic value of design in their projects. Sometimes I think the architectural profession, we don't really think too much about the strategic value. We focus a lot on the execution. on the drawings, on percentages per construction. But when you start really showing the value that you bring and how you're the result of your design is helping your clients, they can really see and start assigning a different value to what that is.
Yeah, well, that's a good lead into talking a little bit about your podcast. And that was an interesting component of your client acquisition strategy and your business plan. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about that.
So about 16 months in, when I started the business, I realized I was in a cycle where, I was doing all the work myself, and I will have to, go out in the marketplace, sell the projects. When I secured the projects during the execution time, just because architecture is very time intensive, I will kind of disappear from the marketplace for 2 or 3 months, and they will go back up. I'm like, wow, I have no projects, no pipeline. Mm-hmm. So I started thinking about how could I add value to the marketplace, and especially, my local network, that they can see my face, they can see my presence every day, but I didn't have to be out there constantly. So I developed a podcast called The Power of Design, which started about a year ago. So far, we have 20 episodes. What I do is it's a podcast about the built environment. So what I do is having conversations that explore the intersection of architecture, construction, and real estate. Because when we're designing buildings, the design is just one part of creating the built environment. Somebody needs to build it. And then somebody needs to create the business model to make that happen. The money comes from somewhere, right? So all those conversations, I thought it was interesting to create a place where all those 3 players with those 3 areas will come together and chat, where it's not, the typical project schedule where you don't really go deeper into conversations. So it's been very interesting because I'm having conversations in the design area. I talk to architects, engineers, other designers. Then I switch to the real estate side, and I talk to property managers, building owners, project managers, commercial real estate bankers. And then on the construction side, I talk to subcontractors, general contractors, architectural product reps. And I have a template for the interviews when I pretty much ask the same questions to all of them. And it's very interesting to see what the perspective is from each of those sides. And then we had conversations about, how can we collaborate better? What's happening in the local marketplace? We talk about what's going to happen in the next, 3-6 months. What do we see in the pipeline coming? And it's been interesting because as I created the podcast, I developed an avatar who will be my target audience. And within that industry, I'm talking to a person that is, motivated, inspired, energetic, driven, that is thoughtful, that is positive, somebody that I want to be around with, I want to have business with. And as I get contacted by people that listen to the podcast and they want to have coffee or meet me, I realize that they are that avatar. And it's been interesting because they're seeing the value and the message is being communicated. Yeah. And I will say that on top of that, for me, starting the podcast was not easy in terms of my own insecurity because, I'm not an extrovert. I've never done anything like that. I was even self-conscious about my accent, but it was a way for me to push myself to go through those, self-limiting beliefs that, they're only in my mind. And now that I've been doing it for 20 months and I've seen recognition, people that like it, I really push helps my confidence to keep going and moving forward.
Great. So that's the power of design. So anybody who wants to check that out, go for it. And you can also find a link on Jack's website. What's your URL again, Jack?
It's Ossa, OSSA studio.com.
Okay, great. And let's wrap it up by talking about what you learned from going through the business plan competition process. What were some takeaways for you?
One of the main things, it will be clarity. Sometimes when we're trying to run our business and do the work, we forget about the long-term vision and all the structures and parts and pieces that require to create a successful business. So making the commitment to force myself to think about that and not only think about it, but simplify it. I love the format that you guys required this year, that it was very succinct, very simple. So you really had to go with very specific action plans and very clear goals. And that really helped me because, my business plan, I can show it in 2 or 3 pages and I understand it. And it's going to be very easy to communicate that with my team members, with other peers and other people that want to be along with this journey. So I really appreciate the opportunity to do that. And now I feel, a lot more confident that I have something very clear that I can explain and communicate to others.
That's great. Yeah, we found your plan to be very, very clear. And we love that you went into a little bit more detail on the client acquisition strategy. Often that gets left out. That's super important and tied to how you plan to achieve your growth. It's how you plan to bring in new work and new clients. The podcast was very smart, very well thought out. Any advice for future applicants for the business plan competition?
Sure. I think, any young firm should get into the competition. Just going through the process is very helpful. Sometimes it's hard for us to overimpose ourselves. Deadlines are, we can say, I'm going to work on my business plan, but you forget about it and you don't do it. But making a public commitment, it really forces you to do that. So I will encourage, everybody to sign up, and also to keep the business plan mindset present in your everyday, decision making and as you work, because it is so easy to get lost into developing designs without developing a good business, and we can waste a lot of money and time and resources if we're not really focused on the big pictures, which is what really matters.
Well, that's great. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us, and thanks for submitting, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Anybody who would like to, I encourage you to visit ossastudio.com and listen to the Power of Design podcast. And thanks very much. Talk to you soon, Jack.
Thank you, Emily.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The Power of Design podcast is brought to you by Ossa Studio, a multidisciplinary design firm focused on creating impactful experiences through the power of design. We partner with our clients to create buildings, interior spaces, brands, and strategies that help you deliver a successful project. As a minority-owned firm, we are committed to building a diverse platform of curious and driven design professionals so we can together pursue our full potential. For more information, please visit us at www.ossastudio.com.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Design podcast. Remember to rate and review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Find out more about Jack and Ossa Studio at ossastudio.com and follow us on Instagram at the Power of Design podcast. Thank you.